All right. I read an article on the website Mediaite a couple of days ago. I mean, they're known mainly for like video news clips and stuff, but they do have some good articles. They have a couple of really shitty writers who are just like conservative hacks, but there's some good stuff on there. And I read an interesting article called Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and the Mainstreaming of Anti-Semitism Exposes a Rot in American Media. Now, immediately, I was like, oh, okay. Because now it's like, when we see an article with this kind of a title, you got to look at who it's from. And I think our country is viewing a lot of things like this through the lens of, AIPAC and their control over Congress and the Anti-Defamation League, who literally calls every single person who disagrees with any single thing about the Israeli government or the Israeli military an anti-Semite, and sees anti-Semitism, around every single corner. But still, let alone what Netanyahu and the Israeli military are doing inside the Gaza Strip for the last 15 months. But, this word anti-Semitism has been thrown around a lot over the last 14, 15 months. Or, I don't know, several thousand years. But, I wanted to read this article and see what perspective they were bringing to this situation. It's a good article. In recent days, some of the most popular podcasts in the United States have hosted known anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists, and weirdly, almost all of them are on the right, leading many in the media to sound the alarm over the world's oldest hate reaching a new, younger audience on the right. Joe Rogan, Theo Von, Stephen A. Smith, and Patrick Bet-David have all raised eyebrows for bringing on guests who regularly dabble in anti-Semitic tropes and accuse Jews or Israel of global manipulation and influence. Last week, avowed neo-Nazi and one-time Trump dinner guest Nick Fuentes praised this ongoing trend. So that's how you know it has a little bit of credibility to it. Nick Fuentes said the following: Candace Owens is on Theo Von, and Theo Von is clearly red-pilled. Stephen A. Smith had Candace Owens on. He's clearly red-pilled. Jason Whitlock is praising Andrew Tate. He's clearly red-pilled. Andrew Tate is red-pilled. Tate is on Patrick Bet-David, spreading the message. And he's saying that this is a good thing that these podcasts are having on guests who spread anti-Semitism. And Joe Rogan had a guy on named Ian Carroll. And, these podcasts are part of what has been described as the manosphere, this kind of new right media. And Trump appeared on a lot of these podcasts during the campaign. And, it's fueled by these personalities, which helped Trump reach a younger male audience of voters across the country. And there's no denying that had an impact. He spent 3 hours on Joe Rogan's show, and that show was listened to by 59 million people. Yeah. And Kamala couldn't change her travel schedule. What are you going to do? Missed opportunity. So an organization called The Forward dove into Joe Rogan's nearly 3-hour sit down with Ian Carroll, who said that Israel is behind the Jeffrey Epstein cover-up, and Ian Carroll has a long history of pushing false claims about the Holocaust, Israel, and Jewish power. Rogan has also interviewed Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Jake Shields, an MMA fighter turned far-right commentator who has previously said that the Jews control America. And Rogan also interviewed Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper. All of that happened within about a 2-week period of time. Yeah, And their commentary about Rogan I found to be interesting, in which they basically described him. Okay, here we go. But in fact, the likes of Joe Rogan and Candace Owens, well, let me back up a second. The rise of anti-Semitism on these platforms, including Rogan's show, which regularly pulls in over 14 million viewers, serves as further proof of the media's disintegration and what happens as guardrails and editorial standards not only fall by the wayside, but become the enemy of new media. In fact, the likes of Joe Rogan and Candace Owens, they adhere to no actual standards, like journalistic standards, apart from what they impose on themselves, which in the end of the day is whatever helps them grow their audience. Rogan has long raised eyebrows for bringing on guests and not only allowing them to push whatever wild theories they come up with that day, but for being easily taken in by them and nodding along in agreement, something that would never pass muster in a credible newsroom. So, I would argue two things. I do believe there's been a rise in anti-Semitism in the United States. I would also argue, and I'm going to probably get some shit for this, that the policies of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli government, and the Israeli military have probably not done a lot to help that. But, you know, I denounce anti-Semitism everywhere. And I also denounce absolutely every single thing that the Israeli military and the Israeli government have done inside the Gaza Strip. And a lot of the things that they've done here in the United States.